Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. I am disgusted with what I saw, and there's just no way that I can comprehend anyone being excited about this victory because they came back and beat the Buffalo Sabres, a team that sucks, a team that is historically pathetic. This wasn't because the Flyers are so great. As much as I want to give credit to the veterans, and Alain Vigneault even said this prior to the game, I'm going to put this on the old heads to come out and not overlook Buffalo. So he made a statement by sitting Nolan Patrick, Joel Farabee, Oscar Lindblom, put all the older guys on the same line, Couturier, Giroux, Voracek, JVR getting in the mix out there during a power play goal late. He said, I demand you to go out there and win it. I'm not going to give you a pass and tell the young bucks to go out there. And not that they were playing good hockey by any means. They logged less than 10 minutes for a reason. It was ugly throughout effort and things of that nature for some of these younger players. But this was more of a product of how bad and dysfunctional the Buffalo Sabres really are, more so than, hey, the Flyers are this team that just has all this fight in the world. They do tend to fight back, but it doesn't matter when you play a well-structured team that knows what they're doing. You think the Buffalo Sabres are ready to shut you down? You think the Buffalo Sabres know how to do anything well? It's night and day from a below average team to the Buffalo Sabres. So you wouldn't even get the same goal accomplished if you were just playing a below average team. It's like the Phillies bullpen last year. They were historically pathetic. If they were below average, you could make the argument that they would have made the playoffs. If they were below average, if they were bad, you would have made the playoffs. Well, if the Buffalo Sabres were just bad, you probably would have lost this game. Honestly, they were how many inches away? Because the Sabres, when the Flyers pulled Brian Elliott, they were literally inches away from scoring an empty net goal. But here comes the Flyers late, and bang, what do you know? Oh, did I say that was a power play goal? I guess it wasn't a power play goal. What it was the extra attacker to give you the man advantage when Sean Couturier buried the biscuit late, and JVR was net front as well. So that wasn't a power play goal. That was the extra attacker. I'm just not satisfied. When I see 40 minutes being played the way that they played, they got beat to loose pucks. This Buffalo Sabres team literally looked like the best team I've ever seen. Through 40 minutes of play, establishing the forecheck, outworking you, getting the puck in certain areas of the ice where it's so much time and space. Everyone saw the screenshots. The Flyers were getting mocked all around the hockey Twitter because there were clips of 5 Flyers players on one side of the ice, allowing an obnoxious amount of wide open space for the Sabres to score. Should Brian Elliott come up with a 5-hole save there? Yeah, probably. To start the scoring, I would imagine he would want to have that one back. But how many great saves did he make prior to even keeping a 0-0 game? I would make the argument that he made so many good saves before that, you know what, he was due for something. That specific save, yeah, I would like for him to make it. That specific shot, he should be able to come up with that. But you can only do so much. And how about the fact that there was a disaster? Sam Morin, I don't know what he was looking at. I don't know who he was trying to defend, but he was all the way over towards the face-off dots. What are you doing? How are you on the right side that far over, that sucked in? And then when the puck gets moved over to the far side defenseman, he's staring at someone trying to cut to the net instead of going to the left side of the ice, which was his bread and butter. That was his side of the ice on that sequence. How dare you get that sucked over? And I know that Sam Morin's story has been phenomenal as of late, scoring the big bingo in the game against the Rangers. And I didn't even watch that game. That was the only game so far this season that I missed, unfortunately. It was in the middle of Saturday afternoon. I had to do a couple things, so I wasn't able to process that game until afterwards and check in on what happened after the game was over. And when you see them beat the Rangers and they win 2-1, one game is not good enough for me. I need to see a serious stretch and something to change for me to think anything different about this team than I do right now. And guess what? Beating the Rangers and beating the Buffalo Sabres, I'm having deja vu. I remember going through a stretch a couple weeks ago outside of this month, because this month has been putrid for the Orange and the Black, but they went through a stretch of beating the Rangers and beating the Sabres, and I didn't give a shit, and I shouldn't have. Because what I thought was a reality is reality to this point. Okay, you can beat bad hockey teams. What do you want me to do with that information? It's not about beating the bad hockey teams anymore. And I don't want to hear that, well, you can only control what you can control right now with your schedule, and this is your next opponent, because it's so far past that. You just got outworked, and you just got outcompeted against the Sabres for 40 minutes. They're just so brutal that beating them down for 20 minutes is enough. But if you go up against majority of the teams in this league, almost all of them except for maybe the Detroit Red Wings on top of this team you saw tonight, there's maybe 2 or 3 that you can get this done a handful of times, beating the team that you go down against. This isn't the first time the Flyers were able to come back late in a game against the Sabres. This is what they do. This is the reason why they have lost 18 games. They haven't been able to win a game in 18 games, and they're probably, well, I don't know. I was going to say they're probably going to get the record, because right now they're tied for the most in this era of hockey, all right, with 18. I would say that maybe that changes and gets to 19, but they play the Flyers on Wednesday. And I can't sit here right now and say that I feel confident about a victory. So I talked about the Sam Morin play, right? How about the one screenshot everyone's throwing around as well, where everyone is just standing in front of Brian Elliott? Everyone. Every Flyer on the ice standing right in the crease area. And there's a one, literally, I don't know if it was a one-timer or if he was just stepping into a clap bomb, but ready to let it fly with, 10 feet of wide open space to crank it. It's terrible. Just terrible. Montour in the slot, bang. Eakin at the other, bang. This is what this Flyers team is, though, right? It is so whack. What you just witnessed tonight is so whack. That's the perfect way to describe it. And that's what this team has been. They don't give up and they fight and all, and okay, that is something that they do, but you dig yourself in such a pathetic hole so early on in the games that how do you think putting yourself in that situation is good? And why do you constantly do it over and over and over again? You know what? I'm a little bothered with Alain Vigneault, because I understand that what he decided to do actually worked. He decided to sit the young kids, and I'm going to rock with the veterans because I expect them to go out there and not overlook the opponent. I demanded it before the game started, so let's do it. Let's see if they can step up to the plate and knock it out of the park. And that's exactly what they did. But you don't need to be in that situation with Nolan Patrick and, well, maybe Nolan Patrick, but Joel Farabee and Oscar Lindblom. I was going to point out the whole line. Nolan Patrick, I can accept sitting his ass because he's hot garbage. But Oscar Lindblom, if you're looking for something with a spark, and you know me, I'm not this big Oscar Lindblom fan, but over a recent stretch, you had a connection between Claude Giroux and Oscar Lindblom. Why has that been toyed with? Why has that been all over the map? Why are you moving pieces left and right every single damn shift? New person on this line, switching up this center. Let's move this winger. You found something. Why would you ever imagine Oscar Lindblom having success with a guy like Nolan Patrick? And as exciting as Joel Farabee has been this season, I have recognized so many parts of his game that there has been learning curves, there has been learning moments, and there has been a situation where, hey, Joel Farabee's in a little bit of a tough spot, and he's not in the best spots in terms of being in the right areas on the ice, and he's lacking some things where he's just going to have to learn from that, and he's learning growing pains, and he's trying to adapt in certain areas. So he has hiccups along the way. Not that Oscar Lindblom doesn't. He does as well. But I think with Joel Farabee's expectations on what type of player he is to this point and how exciting he is and his speed and his IQ of the game and his vision and the way that he's able to put the puck in the net as well, all of it, the expectations are higher. So with Joel Farabee, I understand there are moments where if I'm AV, I might be questioning, hey, maybe we toy him back a bit or maybe we peel him back a bit to try and make a statement towards him that he needs to be stronger. He needs to be more aware of some of his decision-making on the ice, and he has to be more structured in certain areas defensively and in the neutral zone and even times offensively as well. But getting back to my point here is Oscar Lindblom and Claude Giroux had a spurt of a good run, and when you switch up lines, that's what you're looking for. Why do you get to the point where you now have Oscar Lindblom with Nolan Patrick and you need to sit him? It's like you put yourself in this situation where you need to sit that type of line because you started messing around with the lines previously. That's what I'm trying to get at. What I saw out of JVR last year, where he was unplayable, where he was a healthy scratch, where he couldn't find a way into the lineup and play in top 6 minutes, you put him in a disastrous spot. AV needs to realize that some players need to play with others that will help them become better. Nolan Patrick is not getting the best out of Oscar Lindblom. Claude Giroux was. So you're putting your team in that situation to begin with to force yourself to have to sit a full line and to roll other lines constantly because of what you did previously. And that's the way I kind of see it. And I understand why AV is getting some backlash, and I understand why he's getting some heat because he's all over the map with all of his decisions, and I think that they really are too much at times, and I like being firm. I like the fact that he's willing to be open about things, like the veterans, like Travis Konechny earlier in the season. Last year, everyone responded. When he would make a statement, the entire team would bounce back. He caught out all the vets last season. They stepped up, and guys like Kevin Hayes performed at a really nice rate. So you had everyone in the locker room somewhat answer the bell when AV would say something, and he would deliver a tone. This year, he's delivering a tone, but the results are not the same. Whose fault is that? Is it AV? Is it the players? I think it depends. It's very circumstantial. I think AV is trying too hard to make something specific happen, and he's trying to force it too much. At the same time, the players are the ones out there, and they need to execute. They need to win their battles. It's on professional athletes to go out there and compete. That is a very firm take that I have in all of sports when it comes to the execution part. Football is different. That's the outlier when it comes to coaching because you have such a bigger impact on the game than in other sports. But with hockey, with basketball, and baseball is also different because you're a manager and it's a little different. But so let's just look at hockey and basketball, for example. When you do something as a coach, yeah, you can definitely nitpick things and you can talk about things and you can question what might have been a better option at that time. At the end of the day, though, for 40 minutes on the ice, your players were getting dominated because they mentally were not engaged. And this isn't little Johnny playing Pee-wee hockey, U14 AAA at your local rink. All right, then someone else has to get on them to be right themselves internally. But when you're a professional athlete, that's on you, brother. That's on you to go out there and win your battles. You go in the corners and get there first. You establish the forecheck. You get offensive creativity. How many times, specifically first period, am I listening to Jim Jackson talk about how they couldn't establish any sort of offensive zone time against the fucking Buffalo Sabres? It is absolutely incredible that is what we witnessed. That was the effort level we had for majority of this game, and it does not sit right with me. Don't tell me that we should be happy about the win. Is it a, quote, big win? It is a big win. Think about this. You lost 9-0 to the Rangers, and this might have been your worst loss if you lost this game. How embarrassing is that? You get annihilated by the New York Rangers, one of your biggest rivals. And the Rangers stink, by the way. The Rangers are not a good hockey team. So they annihilate you. They totally take your soul. And you're telling me that you just get out-competed and out-muscled? If they were to lose this game, I'm saying, and that would have been more of a disastrous loss, that just explains where you are at. I have no faith in this team, and I was texting Kevin Durso, Flyers insider for 97.3 ESPN and co-host of the Open Ice Hits, which we did not do an episode for Monday this week. We had a lot going on, so we're just going to drop one on Thursday if you are looking forward to that. And if you're not, you should be looking forward to it because it's a lot of fun if you're a hockey fan. It's on my Sports Talk with Brodes YouTube channel and Open Ice Hits on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all your podcasting platforms. But one of the things he mentioned to me when we were texting back and forth about this game is, watch, they're going to make the playoffs. This team is going to make the playoffs, and it's going to be such a tough watch, and you know they're going to get exposed, and you know the defensive woes are going to be an issue, and they are probably going to get worked, and guys are going to walk all over the place where you're going to see the Flyers stuck in the D zone for maybe 3 minutes trying to get a change and chasing around and watching teams cycle, move the puck up high, get shots on net, watch teams fly through the neutral zone entries easy as hell. You're going to see it, but with how tough it has been and with how much we are not bought into this team, which we should not be because of what they have shown us to this point, it's on them. Don't tell me look at their record. Don't tell me how close they are to the 4th seed. I've seen enough. I have witnessed enough. I have enough of a window to know that this team is trash. But that doesn't mean, because what has been one of my storylines before I hit a wall about 5 or 6 games ago? I said, I think the Flyers could make the playoffs. Why? Not because the Flyers are actually good. Not because they're going to fix their holes. Not because they're magically going to find ways to go tape to tape in the D zone and actually find a way to transition into the offensive zone and get a good line rush. No, not because of that at all. But because there's something missing in this division when it comes to that 4th spot. That 4th spot is not solidified. The Bruins have had a funk. You know, well, the Penguins now, I saw that something happened with Jari and all, but there was a moment where you didn't know what the Penguins really were. And they were terrible with the defensive core, and you didn't know their answers at goalie. And things have changed a little bit since they made the front office moves and whatnot. But my point is that 4 spot's not open, and just imagine this. Imagine going through this the rest of the way, yet they still slip in. It's like they don't deserve to. There's no reason for that. Please don't make me suffer anymore. I don't know how I feel, by the way, about what was said after the second period. And G pretty much came out and made a note of Lawton, Braun, those guys said something. And I'm a big Claude Giroux guy. I'm a huge fan of his work. He dominated this game. I'm not going to sit here and give him too much credit, though, because I expect him to dominate the Buffalo Sabres. He should have done better in the first 40 minutes as well. And I love him. I really do. And I think he did step up when the coach said, I got to lean on you and you better show the fuck up. He did. And he made that outstanding play in the defensive zone on the 3-on-3 overtime, which led to Ivan Provorov's disgusting finish and a really nice pass by Travis Konechny, perfectly executed, sent it over at the right time to allow Provorov to have enough time and space to make the deke that he wanted, and he was able to open up the netminder beautifully, bang, as he cut across the crease. It was very special. G stepped up, but I feel at that point, and there's so many different versions of captains. Some captains are vocal. Some captains are just work ethic guys. Some captains aren't very vocal and sort of just ties together with the work ethic type of player, but you watch them. You study them. They do all the right things. They have the intangibles. They have that skill set. There are some that are a mix of both. You find the combination of someone that will speak their voice and their voice carries a lot of weight. And there's guys that have a good mix of that with their dominating work ethic. For me to hear, though, that Giroux isn't the one to be that vocal player, I don't know. I just wish he would have had more of a voice in that situation. That doesn't take away from what he is. At the end of the day, he did the most important part. Whether he talks the talk is fine, but fucking back it up. And that's what Claude Giroux did. He backed it up. That's the most important part, walking the walk. So I'm not thrilled that he wasn't the one to get in there and somewhat say something, and it was other guys, and he sat back and kind of let it play out the way that he did. But who am I to judge when, one, he supported that logic, and he made sure that he did the most key part that he needed to do, which was will them back into the game and get the 2 points. I wish he was just a little bit more vocal there. But that doesn't take away from his leadership. That doesn't take away from the strip to see. If you feel that way, you are a flat-out moron. But good for Lawton and good for Brauner. Brauner plays his 700th game tonight. And not that I have been a fan of Justin Braun by any means, because I haven't been. And I think if he's your sixth defenseman, you're in a good spot. And the problem is, I said that about a lot of defensemen on this team so far. Well, if Ghost is your sixth defenseman, he runs your power play, that's fine. If Braun's your sixth defenseman, that's fine. It shows you that you have depth, and it shows you that you have a lot of better options, but you need a lot of better options if you want to have a way stronger D-core and a defensive zone that actually makes sense, and you can apply normalcy to what you watch in the NHL every single night. I watch all these other teams, and it's like, whoa, hold on a second. They know what they're doing? That's crazy. That's wild. I would love to have that applied to the team that wears the Flyers logo, the team that I root for. Justin Braun, though, I think he does deserve a little bit of a cap tip here. Because of coming into unfortunate circumstances. There has to be a realization by me as well. Sometimes players are put in the spots, and it's not their fault. And it's just because a product of what's around them. It's the product of the roster. It's the product of injuries. So to get mad at someone when they have to play a role because, well, unfortunately, you don't have any other options and there's no better options, it's a little bit of that with Justin Braun. And I think for what it's worth, it hasn't been as bad as maybe it could have been with the Justin Braun experience this season. I can't believe I'm saying that. How about that? That's the last thing I thought I would say 20 minutes into talking about the Philadelphia Flyers tonight, but there you have it. Let me tell you about my friends over at DeSimone Jewelers, though, and trust me, I knew that I was going to talk about them because they are my favorite. They are outstanding. They are the best in the business, and that's exactly why I went to them for my fiance's engagement ring, why I went back for Christmas, why I'm going back for her birthday. And hopefully she's not listening to my Flyers Sabres breakdown because her birthdays are coming up in May. And you bet your ass I'm going back there to get another hot item. DeSimone Jewelers is a family-owned business with 40-plus years of experience, and they moved from Jewelers Row to Haddonfield, New Jersey. They do not use sale tactics. They sit you down, and they educate you about the diamonds, about the rings, about the necklaces, about the earrings, about everything. And they treat you like family. They customize and manufacture every ring they make from start to finish on location, which allows them to beat all your competitors' prices. I've sent a ton of family members there, and I get the same reaction every time. Brodes, you're a genius. Thank you. And you'll be saying the same thing. I know you already say that now, but you'll be saying the same thing afterwards, and you'll see exactly what I mean when you go in there and you say, Brodes sent me. Check out their information. It's down below. All right, why don't we get to the anytime hotline calls? I guess I do want to touch on Carter Hart being sat and being a healthy scratch, and AV saying he's got to get better and he's going to work with the goalie coach and all. I'm okay with that. I have no issues. I think that Carter Hart needs to be better. I also think if the product in front of him is better, you'll see a better netminder. But, yeah, Carter Hart right now mentally is all over the place, and he is lost. So he needs to find a way to reset, but I don't think that's going to happen when you can't trust what's in front of you and you are so stressed that you have to make every single timely save ever. He needs to do a better job at making those saves, but at the same time, when it gets to this level of ugliness, I think it intensifies so much that you can't trust anything. And these grade A scoring chances, when you look at the expected goals, when these teams are playing the Flyers and when they're shooting the puck, where they are on the ice and how wide open they are and where the puck comes from, it's a nightmare. I'm not a big analytical guy with hockey. I love it with baseball, love it in other sports, love it with football. When it comes to hockey, I think it is a joke. I think it is just terrible, and it's a horrible way to look at the sport. And maybe that makes me a hypocrite because I love it in other areas, but being a player of the game of hockey, this Corsi garbage and all that. But when you do look at expected goals when it comes to the Flyers getting scored on and when Carter Hart's left out to dry and Brian Elliott, there's something to be said about where these opponents are getting those good looks, and that correlates to how bad Carter Hart is playing. But you need to kind of understand that side of it, and if you just look at it as Carter Hart's allowing these goals, he's bad, well, then you're just uneducated. But how about we attack the Anytime Hotline right now? Let's kick it off.
Yo, what's going on, Brodes? I always wanted to say this, long-time listener, first-time caller, and I feel like this is the best time to call. What a win from the Fly guys. It was a very ugly win, but it was a huge, huge win. As it looked as if as the game went on, they just played better, and their shots on goal in the third period, I believe, won them that game. So, yeah. Hopefully we get a win streak going, and go Flyers.
Thank you so much for the call. I love that first time last time. It better not be first time last time, just to be clear. All right, I want another phone call from you on Wednesday when they play the Flyers Sabres. Just for me making that mistake, I'm going to sit here and pull an AV, and I'm going to call you out and see if you actually answer the bell. But with all jokes aside, a little too optimistic for me. Just a little too optimistic for me. Maybe they do get a win streak going, but what if you get a win streak going against the Sabres and the Rangers? Do you look at it as you got to make sure you beat the opponents you're supposed to beat? Or do you look at it as why? In what world is it taking this type of effort? Why are you digging yourself in such a huge hole and trying to climb out of it? This is not going to work. I saw all the same problems that we have seen to this point. And it was actually, during the game when it was 3-0, I thought to myself, I don't know how long I can truly watch this team and break them down, because at some point it is what it is. Do you really expect me over and over and over and over again to say they got beat to every loose puck, they lost every puck battle, they got outcompeted, their power play is abysmal, they can't get any offensive zone time, their neutral zone is pathetic, they're giving too many players time and space when you're talking about the high slot area or at the blue line? Apparently, we saw that tonight. So, how many times? There's going to be a point where the Flyers just lose you. They lose you completely. Well, they came back, and I guess maybe they sucked some people in. I'm not sucked in, though. This is too much of a product of the Sabres. You mentioned, the caller did, the Flyers in the third period, that really won them the game. And I think, while, yes, the Flyers did make plays to win the game, I think let's look at it from a Sabres point of view. They folded. They collapsed. I think the Sabres collapsing was more a reason why the Flyers won than the Flyers winning and taking control, if that makes sense.
Oh boy, you guys beat the shitty-ass Sabres. Despite being down 3-0 in the start of the game, it looked like absolute dog shit. You guys actually won and beat the shitty-ass Sabres. And quite fitting that the final goal was scored by the man, the myth, the legend, as Brodes would put it, Claude Giroux. Anyway, you got to build off this win. It might seem like good now, but you got to build off this win. This team is in a hole right now, and they need to find a way out of it. They need to get some momentum. Hopefully this sparks them.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I said hopefully it sparks them, or this is a bounce-back game, or this is a building block game too many times. Once I hit X amount of times, it's over. I'm not believing in it. You have to show me. I'm not going to think it's going to happen. If you go on a 7, 8, 9-game run, all right, then you'll wake me up. But until then, no. And unless I heard that wrong, Claude Giroux actually didn't score the goal. It was Ivan Provorov. As I said, unless I heard it wrong and you were talking about him setting up the play. But, yeah, that was a special play because, yeah, I did like what he did. But it still upsets me that you were even put in that position to begin with. I am not going to be the one to appreciate this win. Let me see something happen against a team that actually is something to value. Now, I don't know who they play after the Sabres, so I'm going to look right here at the Flyers' schedule. So they play Wednesday at 7:30. They play the Islanders Saturday at 7. Then you got Bruins on the road. The Islanders game's on the road as well. You're on this mini road streak here, but you play the Bruins on the road Monday at 7. Back-to-back, home and home with the Bees. You got a couple games with the Bees and Islanders to summarize, but it's kind of spread out a little bit with a back-to-back involved, an afternoon tilt, 2 o'clock. That's strange. 2 o'clock, April 10th. I think that's during the Masters as well, which is information I'm sure nobody needed. Let me see you. And I guess, how about this? I'll also look up the Bruins schedule as of late, because I know they're not playing the best version of hockey ever. So they lost to the Devils 1-0. They beat the Sabres 3-2. Lost to the Islanders, beat the Sabres. Beat the Penguins, lost to the Penguins. Lost to the Rangers, beat the Rangers. Lost to the Islanders, lost to the Devils. Beat the Caps, lost to the Caps. Okay, so I could see why they're a little bit all over the place. And they are in fourth place. They got 3 games in hand against the Flyers, though, being 1 point up. So that does matter. Just getting a little sucked into the standings a little bit, which is maybe getting too far ahead. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked at the Bruins, though. But anyway, let's move on.
Sure, why not? Why not at this point? Like, they go down 3-0 to the worst team in hockey, and I'm just thinking, okay, yep, it's over. I'm just going to go play Warzone or something. And then I'm playing that, and then I turn around, they come back and tied it late. Do we even feel happy about this? Like, it's better than losing, I guess. And also, Sabres fans, I'm so sorry.
That's a good ending. You're right. I haven't even hit on that yet. God bless you. God bless you, Buffalo Sabres fans. I don't know if you watch. I don't know if you watch out of pain. You're definitely not watching out of enjoyment, but I wonder how you consume a season like this. I'm sure that there are plenty that are out. I can't do it anymore. I'm not even going to support them. They don't deserve my time. But if you are a person who cares so much, you end up tuning in anyway, and you're watching out of spite. And you're watching because you're so hurt and you're so upset and you're torturing yourself, because that's kind of what we do as sports fans. Even through hell, we sit through it and we experience all the lows and lows and lows. And realistically, that's what makes the highs so special, because you go through the pain and you go through the hard times over and over and over again. And then when you finally pull it out and you get the big victory and you hoist the trophy at the end of the season, I'm not saying hockey because I haven't seen that out of the Flyers. I'm just talking in general. I at least saw a World Series and a Super Bowl at this point, so I did see it happen twice in my lifetime, which is nice. But damn, I could not imagine having to go through that type of team. And you thought you had Taylor Hall and with Jack Eichel, you thought at some point there would be a little bit of burst, a little bit of a jump going that would spark plug your franchise in the right direction. Now all of a sudden you're having the conversation of, should we trade Jack Eichel and move it a whole new way, which is nuts. But what was said there? Are we supposed to be happy? No. I think it's clear. I think it's very clear to me. You are not supposed to be happy with this. There are issues, there are problems, and it's over and over again. And you constantly see those problems. They're not going to be fixed. If they're not fixed, why should you imagine this team being a different version of themselves? This is who they are. What do you want to do? Do you want to maybe go short and bench? Oh, you want to drill the 35-year-olds into the ground, the 34, 33-year-olds. You want to play all those guys minutes after minutes after minutes every other shift. You can't do that. You will never succeed. You will never be able to make it. How is hockey played these days? Young, speed, 4 lines, right? Being able to go line after line after line, roll them, go 6 deep with the defense, being able to utilize all your defensemen, because that allows your top dogs to have a little bit more rest. And if you're the home team, you're able to do certain line matchups to get your guys out there when you want to. You can get fresher legs. That's why the team last year was so damn successful. You had a decor that made sense, and on top of that, you were able to rock and roll with any line that you wanted to, and you could trust your fourth line against opponents' better lines, some of their top 6 forwards, not all of them, but at times you can do that. Now you can't, so you can't rely on your older veterans to play that amount of time forever. You'll run out of gas. All right, one more.
Well, I call out the leadership of this team, and they all score to win the game. I don't even care that they came back and won this game. What troubles me is that I don't know how many gut check games, things that this team has gone through. The fact that they came out so flat. Like, that I'm worried. I'm worried what that could mean.
See, I don't know if I'm worried because I feel like I already know. That's the difference between me and you, apparently. Maybe. If you could respond, maybe you would be able to interject and tell us that maybe you do feel the same way I do. But anyway, I'm not worried because I know it's who they are. It would be different if I had different expectations, if I thought things would change, if I thought they were somebody else, if I thought their identity was something else and they're stuck playing this way. They're stuck playing this way because this is who they are. This is what the 2021 Philadelphia Flyers are meant to be. So I'm not worried. I'm already establishing in my brain this is Philadelphia Flyers hockey this season. And if you think it's going to be anything else, you're foolish. This game should piss you off more than anything else. It's like the Sam Moran fight the other night when you lose 8-3. I'm almost pissed off that's when you're choosing your spot to show a little bit of energy. Like, it's 8-3. Fuck off. It's 8-3. And I know where he's at in his career, so I'm not knocking the kid in general about it because I get where he's coming from and I know the story and I'm fully aware of the changes in positions and all of that. I get what he's trying to do, and he earned himself another game, and he ended up scoring a big bingo against the Rangers, so it's a cool story. But 8-3, that's when you want to show me Hart, when it's 8-3? Screw off. And I'm talking about it as from a team standpoint. So with this, it's like that's when you want to play well? You want to play the last 20 minutes? Right? Get out of here. Kiss my ass. How about the other 40? Why don't you do something good then? That's my approach on this game. What's my approach when it comes to DraftKings Sportsbook? Well, it's betting on March Madness. It has been incredible to this point. 68 teams started the tourney. Only the best have survived. I was so glued to the game tonight. That's why I actually recorded this maybe an hour or two after the Flyers game actually ended. I got insanely sucked into Arkansas versus Baylor. Arkansas tried their best to stay in there. They had some foul trouble. Scoring kind of went into a stall late, and Baylor came out and made it happen. They're going to be playing Houston in the Final Four. I'm pretty excited for it. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of the action. Bet $1 in any tournament game, and if your team wins, you win $100. It's that simple. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 if the college basketball team of your choosing pulls off the win. That's code Brodes to turn $1 into $100 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.